Hey everyone, welcome back to Low Content Publishing for Beginners. My name is Rachel Harrison Sund. So after my last video about how to create a coloring book from scratch, I got a lot of questions regarding image attribution. So I thought I'd just create a video today and just give you a little bit of a quick rundown on how to properly attribute your images and where to do that in your book. So anytime that you download an image to use in your book, you obviously want to be reading that image license. Now, usually the image license can be found in one of two places. You're either going to get it within the actual file folder that you download. There'll be a text file that will usually just say license.txt or something like that. Or if it's not in that folder when you download it, you'll be able to find the license information somewhere on the website. When you've got that license open in front of you, there are three specific things that you want to pay attention to. The first one is, does the image require attribution? There aren't many, but there are a few websites that will allow you to use their free stock imagery without any attribution at all. One such example is Unsplash, and they've got some really high quality photographic imagery. No vectors, but if you're on the hunt for some good photos, free ones that you don't have to actually attribute, Unsplash is a really high quality resource for that. The second thing you want to pay attention to is how must the image be attributed. Usually in a printed piece, they just want you to include the name of the website, or in some instances, the name of the actual photographer or the designer of the vector graphic somewhere in your printed piece. They don't usually outline exactly where, they just might make a suggestion like the acknowledge section of your book or something like that. The third thing that you want to pay attention to is, are there any actual usage limitations for that downloaded image? So in one instance, you might get an image that is free to use for personal use, but not commercial. Many of them are free for personal and commercial use. Some of them will be free for personal and commercial use up to a certain number of items that you're selling. So for example, we'll take Vecteezy. That's a really good example. Vecteezy will allow you to use their image for free with attribution up to selling 50 copies of your book. So if you use that image on a book and it ends up selling more than 50 copies, then you're going to have to purchase the extended license. So you're really going to have to keep track of how many units that you're selling and, stay on top of that. Now, I just want to say, don't be deterred by a license like that. If you've sold 50 copies of a book, then you can definitely afford to splurge for that extended license. Now, usually that extended license is really only a few bucks, so it's definitely not going to break the bank. And normally you can, I think, purchase, for Vecteezy, I think you can purchase a monthly subscription, or if you just want to purchase one or two images because you've only got like one or two books that are selling more than 50 copies, then you can just go and buy a small number of credits, and one credit is usually per single image. And that's a really reasonable way of doing things if you want to try and keep it free or as low cost as possible. And, if you go over and above that limit, then you can just apply that one credit to it. So it doesn't have to break the bank, and I really encourage you to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of image license examples. And then after that, I'm going to show you an example of where you can actually place that attribution within your low content book. Okay, so let's check out Vecteezy first. We'll just click on any old image here, and you'll see that this includes a free license. And when you click on the little question mark, it's just going to tell you that for print purposes, please add vecteezy.com in the final design. Now you'll notice that up here it also says that this is free for personal and commercial use with usage limitations. So you want to make sure you find out what those usage limitations are. So we'll give that a click, and then we can see our free license here. So we'll go down to print runs, packaging, and merch, and you can see that it is free up to 50 copies. So if you sell any more than 50 copies of the book that you've got this image on, you're going to need to purchase the extended license. Now, don't let that deter you, because if you've sold 50 copies of a book, that's amazing, and it means you've earned enough money to pay for that extended license. The extended license is really only going to cost you a few dollars, so it's definitely worth it. Okay, now let's head over to Freepik, and again, we'll just click on any random image here. So let's take a look at the license here. So free for personal and commercial purposes with attribution. You can click on the more info button here. So this is just telling you in all the ways that you can use the image, and this is where it's going to tell us how to attribute the author. So for printed elements, it's telling us that we need to attribute the artist close to where we're using the resource. And we need to say something along the lines of image free pick, or this cover has been designed using resources from freepik.com. If you download an image from Freepik, you will also get the license along with the image itself in the folder. So these are a bunch of images from Freepik here. We'll just click on any random one. You can see it's got the actual files for the image, and then we've got a free license and a premium license. So again, you can just open that up. This has all that same information right here, right in the folder. Okay, you must attribute the image to its author. Print, you've got to paste this text in the final work so the authorship is known. So we've got designed by Freepik is what you must place into your book somewhere. And then it's got some restrictions down here. You're not allowed to sublicense, resell, or rent it, or include it in any online or offline archive or database. And then if you need some more information, it's telling us that we can refer to the terms of use available at the following link here. So that's all the information you really need to know. And then let's just have a quick look at Unsplash here. This is a really great website for very, very high quality, free photographic images. And their license can be found under this little guy right here. And as you can see, all photos published on Unsplash can be used for free. You can use them for commercial and non-commercial purposes, and you don't need to ask permission from or provide credit to the author, although it is appreciated when possible. So you're not bound to attribution with this website, but they're letting you know that it is appreciated if you do want to do it. And if you do want to do it, you can just include this text right here somewhere in your book. So where do we put that image attribution once we know that we need to include it? So what I usually do is I put it on the second page on the inside, right before my main content. So this is the first page. It's got the dedication on the front of it. And then on that next page, so this is going to be a left-hand side page, I'll have my logo for whatever the brand name is, and then I'll include my copyright information and my contact info. And then right here in very small type, I've got cover image by vecteezy.com. So it's just as simple as that, and you can put it in really small type. I would recommend at least 7-point type. That's considered the smallest you can go to ensure that it's still legible for most people. But it's also small enough that it really just kind of blends in, and you don't really need to broadcast it. It just has to be included somewhere. And then on the next page, it just goes right into whatever that book happens to be. In this case, it's a line journal, but it could be a daily planner or what have you. Okay, guys, I hope you found that useful, and I hope it cleared up any remaining confusion that you might have had around how to properly attribute images in your book. And I just want to finish off here by recommending that once you get the ball rolling and you've got some consistent sales coming in, do consider purchasing stock imagery to use rather than continuing to use free imagery. Free imagery is great to get things going, but once you've got that income coming in, just use some of that to reinvest back into your business. And it's just going to make your publishing life just a little bit easier when you're not always worrying about whether or not you have to attribute images. There will be some limitations with using paid imagery as well. Sometimes you will encounter a standard license versus an extended license, even when we're talking about paid images. So you will always have to keep track of those things and read each image license as you download it, regardless of whether it's paid or not. But you can remove that attribution component out of the equation, and you won't be looking at such small numbers of sales like 50 copies where you might need to upgrade. You might have to look at that, maybe it's 10,000 or something like that. But it's just going to streamline things a little bit. And, you really want to be investing back in your business once you're making those sales. So that's it for today, guys. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below. And as always, if you haven't already downloaded my 3 steps to publishing your first low content book in less than a day, you can do that by clicking the link in the description below. And of course, more low content publishing tips on my blog at rachelharrisonsund.com. All right, thanks guys. See you next time.